There is no team in the world with the same history as Real Madrid. They signify a connection to not just winning, but also attracting top talent to the Bernabeu. Love them or detest them, you can't ignore them completely. They won the continental title 13 times from the golden age of the 50s to the contemporary Galactico teams of Vicente del Bosque and Zinedine Zidane. They have figured out how to consistently win in a low-stakes way, and the best footballers of all time have donned the club's jerseys. Stick around as we look at the top icons of Real Madrid. First, Santiago Bernabeu. Santiago Bernabeu will always be remembered as the best Real Madrid player. It's often impossible to comprehend how much he accomplished as a player, but his achievements after his playing days remain recognized today. With Real Madrid as the world's football powerhouse, one guy is responsible for Real Madrid's success. The name of Santiago Bernabeu will forever be inscribed across the battlefields of current and future Real Madrid greats. Moving on, we've got Raul Gonzalez. Gonzalez was the face of Real Madrid for much of the last decade, and is someone who can always count on a complimentary meal whenever he visits the capital. Even when Florentino Perez was looking to introduce the Galaxy of Stars at the start of the 2000s, Raul was a strong character for the club. He was just as noticeable at the outset of Perez's second stint. He has over 200 goals, multiple Champions League and La Liga titles, and is a well-liked and recognized sporting ambassador. Raul is appropriately ranked with the other historical greats that have played for the club, but he is unquestionably Real Madrid's king of kings in the 21st century. Following that, we've got Alfredo Di Stefano. There has to be some disdain from newer game followers who talk about how much they adored the game's Pelés, Liam Brady, and George Bests. You may respect their standing in the game, but will you ever comprehend their effect and abilities on the football field? Alfredo Di Stefano unquestionably fits within this group. Real Madrid is connected with Di Stefano's name, much as Eusebio is with Benfica. You can't picture Real Madrid without mentioning the Argentine, who generated so much controversy with his transfer. Although too young to grasp the player's skill, there is enough recorded in the game's history books to show why Alfredo Di Stefano is regarded as one of the finest. Di Stefano's status as one of the most fantastic Real Madrid players will live on. Next, Manuel Sanchez. Manuel Sanchez had a fantastic career at Real Madrid, rising through the junior ranks and captaining the team for over a decade. Sanchez performed like a true leader among ordinary guys, and there appeared to be a genuine sense of pride for the player to wear the Real Madrid jersey. His career ended with a glorious final chapter, having won the Champions League the previous year and adding it to many domestic titles he had won throughout his stellar career. Moving on to Iker Casillas. Perhaps more than any other present Real Madrid player, Iker Casillas deserves a place among the club's legends. Casillas, who took over as captain after Raul left, has followed in the footsteps of his predecessor and become a fantastic spokesman for the club. Casillas, a humble and unassuming leader, has confirmed his place as one of the best modern football players by winning several La Liga and Champions League trophies. Following that, we've got Zinedine Zidane. Zinedine Zidane came to Real Madrid as the world's most expensive and greatest player. In some ways, you have to respect a club that can cast such a spell on global football greats. Zidane's skill on the pitch was nothing short of extraordinary, and not the odd type of extraordinary that leaves you scratching your head. He emphasized everything excellent about the beautiful game. His strike against Bayer Leverkusen will go down in history as one of the finest moments in modern football. Next, Ferenc Puskas. Ferenc Puskas is another name that will be synonymous with Real Madrid. Alfredo Di Stefano's comrade, and one who would add more championships to a great Real Madrid history. Puskas' fame greatly outweighs the names of recent greats, still inscribed on a splendid club's walls. Moving on to Ronaldo. Ronaldo arrived at Real Madrid with a huge reputation as one of the game's fiercest attackers and a history of protracted injuries. He was, however, one of Florentino Perez's crowning achievements as president, leading the squad to the league title in 2003. Ronaldo's hat-trick at Old Trafford in the Champions League in 2003 was one of the finest performances by any player in the past decade. Unfortunately, Ronaldo is one of the best players who has never won the Champions League. Following that, we've got Fernando Hierro. Fernando Hierro was the club captain and scored an unusually high goal for a defensive player. Like many of Real Madrid's greats, Hierro had a long list of accolades during his time at the Bernabeu. Hierro's name is another connected with Real Madrid's history and accomplishments. He was one of the finest defensive players of his period and an exceptional leader on the pitch. Up next is Hugo Sanchez. Hugo Sanchez is another example of a player that eludes newer generations, and it has nothing to do with a lack of regard for his abilities. Sanchez is a striker who was one of several excellent attackers during his time at Real Madrid. His predatory instincts in front of the goal place him among the game's luminaries, particularly Los Blancos. His status as one of the game's most lethal attackers did a lot for the trophy cabinet, as he won 5 La Liga titles during his tenure at the Bernabeu. Moving on to Paco Gento. Paco Gento was a Real Madrid institution and one of the club's most iconic personalities from 1953 to 1972. Gento, like Ferenc Puskás, was a larger-than-life player of the time, scoring 182 goals as a left winger. He has been one of the greatest genuine left wingers in football history throughout his nearly 2 decades of excellence with Real Madrid. Gento was the captain of the Real Madrid team, succeeding Di Stefano and Puskás as club captains. He won a record 6 European Cups in his career and appeared in 9 finals, a feat only matched decades later by Milan legend Paolo Maldini. Gento, a future club ambassador alongside Di Stefano, is a player whose present magnificence is only equaled by his lifetime Madridissimo. Following that, Toni Kroos. Toni Kroos, the finest midfield controller of his generation, is tremendously underestimated and mistreated by individuals who know very little about football and worshipped to the nth degree by fans, analysts, and other players who genuinely grasp how difficult his job is. As Madridistas have witnessed in several victorious Champions League finals, Kroos is a difference maker on the greatest stages. Kroos is the gift that keeps on giving, having won 4 UCLs with Real Madrid and 1 with Bayern Munich. Next is Sergio Ramos. Sergio Ramos ranks higher than Karim Benzema, and most Madridistas agree, which tells everything about this one-of-a-kind center defender's legacy. Fernando Hierro has more goals, but Ramos was also a productive scoring center-back. There is no more significant aim than 92-48. I'm sure you understand. Real Madrid always requires a strong captain, and Ramos had the most smoke for his opponents. When he and Pepe started working together, look out. Ramos' outstanding defending was underappreciated regardless of how much his side won, but Madridistas realized that no center-back of his era could stand shoulder to shoulder with him. Ramos, a world-class right-back who dominated Spain's World Cup victory in 2010, earned an even better legacy as a center-back. Ramos may be the greatest center-back of all time. This is a difficult case to make, but looking at his work at Real Madrid, there is no doubt that he is among the pantheon of the greatest Madridistas of all time. And now we move on to Karim Benzema. Karim Benzema is now level with Raul in second position on Real Madrid's all-time scoring list. And the only issue is whether he will add enough to his 323 goals to overtake Cristiano Ronaldo's 450. Benzema is the greatest French striker of all time, a title that should not be taken lightly, but one Benz has thoroughly earned. Consider what he accomplished last season. Benzema, the only credible Ballon d'Or contender, boosted his squad repeatedly with his hat-trick against PSG as a classic moment of pulling a team out of the fire. Benzema has been a regular throughout his career. Even though Madridistas did not like him, the team superstars, particularly Ronaldo and the club, did. Perez's choice not to replace him with Robert Lewandowski, who has been yearning to join the merengues year after year, has been fully vindicated. Benzema, the complete striker of his time, is now deservedly recognized as the greatest striker of his generation, no longer having to sacrifice his own goals for Ronaldo, who is an even more prolific scorer. And finally, we have Cristiano Ronaldo. No one has ever played as frequently as Cristiano Ronaldo at 100% of their physical capacity. No one has ever possessed his combination of physicality, speed, touch, and movement, and no one has ever scored more goals for Real Madrid or anyone else. CR7 had 450 goals in fewer games than anyone by the time he left the Bernabeu. Every season he spent at Real, he scored more than 30 goals, and twice he scored more than 60. He was a machine, not a man. he gradually gained a reputation for single-handedly carrying his team to glory, regardless of how brilliantly they played. Because aside from his physical abilities, Ronaldo possessed the most motivated mentality of any footballer to wear the Los Blancos jersey. 15 titles in 8 years and a suitcase full of memories of overhead kicks, El Clasico strikes, impossible finishes, hat tricks, and magical moments confirmed him as the club's most outstanding player. Some even consider him to be the best. Well, that marks the end of our video for today. We hope you enjoyed it. On your way out, make sure to leave your thoughts on the list in the comment section down below, and hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching.